Colin, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you. Look, you work with leaders around the globe on the topic of culture and also how to mold and build the culture around the hybrid work current environment. Could you share with us some of the challenges that you see with leaders as well as employees they face in the current hybrid work environment?
Yeah, when the pandemic first hit, Luke, what we had was equity of experience with regards to culture. All of a sudden, everybody was at home and we were very good at rolling out technology. So we had the mechanisms to stay in touch. And the organisations that thrived during the pandemic were the ones that actually put time, thought and effort into resetting their culture. They recognised that things had changed, things that were different. And so they reset their culture. They thought differently about how they would communicate and collaborate and the behaviours they needed to demonstrate. Now as we come back to the workplace, Luke, and we look to leverage some of the solutions that we see, is it almost needs another reset. And so I think the biggest challenge that most leaders face right now is how do we be deliberate about this thing called culture? For too long, it's been an unwritten agreement between leaders and employees. And now there really has to be thought given to, if we're not all going to be in the same place and there's going to be this inequity of experience, how do we make sure that people still feel that sense of belonging to their colleagues and we know when to come together to get productive work done?
I see it in the market, because the interesting thing is people lead with technology, but in essence, you almost have to lead with the culture, and then technology enables that. I'm very interested to see what's the secret sauce. What are some of the necessary conditions to kind of get it right, both the culture, but also be able to operate effectively in the hybrid work?
It's a great question, Luke, because I think too many organisations suffer from waiting for the perfect conditions.
Right.
And culture is pervasive. It's there all of the time. And what we need to make sure is that we're not waiting for this thing called culture. In the meantime, you're losing your good staff, or you're not leveraging all of the great technology that's there to enable hybrid working. And so for leaders, it's really a case of, hey, listen, we need to deal with this cultural issue right now in order to get the best from not only our people, but also from our technology. And so from a conditioned perspective, it's like now is always the right time to start working on culture.
That's fascinating, because I was just having an innovation talk, and that was exactly the message, the time is now. Don't wait. It takes time to get there, so the sooner you get on the journey, because it's here to stay. Now, the interesting thing is, where do you see the market going? Obviously, we talk about the culture maybe catching up with some of the technology, but where do you see the trends going in the near term, at least?
Well, I think, again, at the start of the pandemic, leaders were kind of caught in this place of, is the office gone? Do I sell off my real estate? Or else, are we going to come back full time? And I think there's still this almost, kind of dissonance to sort of say, what do we do? Where do we go? So I think future term, what leaders are looking, and certainly the organisations that I work with is, well, how do we best use that space? I think we're still some way away from kind of augmented reality in video. I think more desktop terminals with cameras inbuilt to reduce the amount of distraction, because we're still getting a lot of people who are getting distracted by their emails when they're on their calls. Luke, so I think leaders are going to look at, well, how can we leverage technology to ensure that we don't overwhelm people? Burnout's still one of the biggest issues we see in our workplace cultures. People just lack the discipline around their technology. And how do we, I guess, shift our workspaces to best suit the work that we need to do? Is it private, quiet work, or can we move our walls about and do more collaborative work? And so I think finding those solutions for better kind of office working is definitely something that we're looking at.
That's a great point of view, because a lot of people are chasing the next shiny object, hologram, VR, great, but you have to look at the starting point. Less than 10% collaboration rooms have actually video-enabled conference rooms. So start there and then think about the future, right, so to speak. If you were to wear a Cisco hat, what would be some of the guidance, advice you would give to Cisco? As we support you and the leaders, obviously, on this journey, what would be some of the things you will give us as a pointers?
Well, I still think that we make an assumption that everybody knows how to build culture. Luke, especially in the hybrid work, the way that we work has changed dramatically forever. You said this in your talk before. And I think, one of the things that Cisco needs to do, and every organization needs to do, is to teach its managers how to build and evolve positive hybrid working culture. Because only then are you able to retain that sense of belonging, retain that sense of what Cisco is about and what it's good at, and leverage the tools that you have at your disposal to improve productivity and make sure the products remain to the quality that they are right now.
Excellent. And In fact, we need to have more dialogue like this around culture, things that surround the technology. I think that's the piece that leaders want to hear as well. So I really appreciate the time today, opportunity to speak. I think we should continue the dialogue as we move forward.
Sounds great. Thanks, Luke.